Marrin Costello is the founder and CEO of Marrin Costello Jewelry, a brand that began as a childhood passion and has since grown into a widely recognized name in the accessory industry. Inspired by both of her grandmothers and their ability to effortlessly accessorize, Marrin developed a strong sense of personal style from a very early age. From the moment she began stacking her jewelry with unapologetic confidence, she discovered the power of accessorizing, the idea that jewelry always fits no matter what. Alongside her role as CEO, Marrin offers her expertise in entrepreneurship and branding through one-on-one business consulting, helping others transform their passions into successful businesses. She also hosts Marrin Costello Radio, a weekly podcast where she interviews trailblazers and innovators from various industries, diving into discussions on motivation, inspiration, and entrepreneurship. Marrin now travels the globe connecting with the MC community, building lasting relationships with clients, and collaborating with other like-minded thought leaders and brands. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Live the Glamour. I am here today with Marrin Costello. I am so looking forward to this conversation. I think it's going to be great. You are an incredible jewelry designer. As you can see, some of your pieces are on right now. And I'm going to just go right into it and ask you how you got started on this path in jewelry design.
Sure. So I like to say jewelry happened to me. I didn't choose jewelry, jewelry chose me. And so I received a bead kit from my aunt when I was 7 for Christmas. And it was a massive bead kit from FAO Schwartz. I hope I'm not aging myself, but it was tray after tray after tray stacked of wood beads, plastic beads, glass beads, stone beads, all the things. And so I became obsessed with the craft of making jewelry, and not necessarily design, because at that point we're so young, it's like noodles and yarn, but just the therapy and the centeredness and the peacefulness that jewelry brought to me. So that evolved over time. At a certain point in time, I amassed too much jewelry, and I come from a long line of entrepreneurs on both sides. And so my parents, who are very entrepreneurial minded, said to me, maybe you should sell this stuff, for a quarter, 50 cents, something, but no child under 10 should have this much jewelry. So we've got to figure out where to get. I'm sure they were just trying to declutter their house.
Yeah.
And so at the age of 10, I set up a little card table at a local arts and crafts fair over the summer that my hometown always had and still has to this day. And so friends and family members and, cousins and whatnot would come by and buy things. And so I did that particular fair for 20 years. And
Wow.
within that time, I would bring pieces over to local boutiques on consignment, and just in Tupperware boxes being a kid, and I would sell it to them for less than what the product actually cost, because it was just an exercise in commerce and an exercise in making people feel amazing. It wasn't necessarily to generate revenue at such a young age. And then in high school, I did everyone's prom jewelry, and in college, I was still studying. I was in my dorm room, and my pieces were featured on American Idol. One of my former dance instructors, I met with her. She saw some of the pieces that I made. She said, okay, I'm going to borrow these. It's called a poll. She said, I'm going to do a stylist poll. And she took them, put them on TV. And then that was kind of the start of the concept of creating a brand. I started to really look at, this hobby and create a platform online. And I still had a full career in event production, fashion show event production out of college. And then in 2018, I went all in. So it's just kind of grown since there. And, the benefit of turning this passion into a profession is that I was sitting on nearly 2 decades of experience in one way or another by the time I decided to go all in. But, it's evolved so much. And even in the last 5 years, 1 year, 6 months. I mean, the business that I have now looked completely different 6 months ago. So it's just been an evolution, and it's grown with me as I've become an adult. So it's definitely synonymous with who I am. But now the business has grown to a point where it is so much a part of me, but I also can identify myself apart from it, and it stands on its own without me, which is really cool.
That's big. It's so funny because I think that as an entrepreneur, that's like a running theme, that things are always evolving and changing. And so after talking to so many, you really see that that's like such a important part of growing a business, is that you are able to change and, evolve it. I mean, essentially you've been evolving it since you were a child, which is so amazing because it was like instinctually in you to do this and to create this brand. How would you say it has changed, like from, maybe even aesthetically from 2018 to now?
Oh my gosh. I mean, back then my aesthetic was bohemian. I had long hair. I loved different colors, a lot of fringe. It was definitely a more boho vibe of a brand. And, that was in the same realm of the apex of the House of Harlow's
Mm,
and, all of those brands that definitely had that. Rachel Zoe was kind of, at the apex of her career back then. So that was really, and I lived in Los Angeles. So
mm,
the bohemian influence, it really bled into my aesthetic back then. And it was great for a point in time, but just me as a person and my particular style, it's evolved. It's refined a little bit. It's much more edgy. It's, classic with an edge. I love vintage. A lot of the pieces are vintage inspired.
mm.
Um, I've been able to refine my own personal style. And with that, the brand has evolved as well. So the more that I've poured into myself and the more that I learn about myself and develop a relationship with self, it is definitely reflected in the brand. And now the brand is more clear and concise and more the most brand identifiable that it's ever been. And I think that's because I understand who I am more than I ever
Mm.
have.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
yeah,
interesting how it evolved because of you. It
both
became,
and
yeah,
both
yeah,
and because
yeah.
the brand also, when if things are not if things are disjointed or if there isn't cohesion within the
Mm,
brand, it's also an invitation for me to say, why is it like this? Is it a reflection of me? How can I make things,
mhm.
concise? Do I need to let go of something personally or professionally? How do we make this more cohesive? So it's really been a beautiful reflection. It's been brutal at times, but it's
Yeah.
been a great, it's, if anyone knows anything about mirror work,
Mhm.
it is the most in your face mirror work that you can do to have an eponymous brand and
Yeah.
have your name on every single piece that you sell and ultimately be the face of your brand. So it's been a beautiful journey. And yeah, it's been so fruitful, but also really difficult. And I
Yeah.
think that both need to exist.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, I see that. I can see how in business it needs to. Do you think that, or how would you say because you're very invested yourself in the brand and like you just said with it comes out through your own feelings, but when customers are involved, do they ask for certain styles or certain pieces that maybe take you away from what your brand is, or do you stay away from doing that? How do you work with customers and what they are looking for in your in a brand, in your
That's
jewelry
a
brand?
that's a great question. I think when I used to make everything years ago, make everything myself, that was a little bit more of
Mm.
a challenge because I had the ability to make everything myself. Now everything is mass produced. We distribute to over 400 stores across the states. We have our e-commerce platform. So now it's a brand, it's a
Yeah.
proper company. Um, so I always take in suggestions. I love feedback. I mean, that is our why is, we wouldn't without our customers' feedback, without learning what they want to wear, it's so invaluable to us,
Mm.
right? And at the same time, if something isn't true to the brand and if something isn't, if someone wants a necklace with a bunch of red beads on it, that's not really the brand aesthetic, right? And there
Right.
is someone out there for them, but we are not that person. We are not that brand. I'm not the person. We are not the brand.
Mhm.
And so it depends on the piece. There's much more of a solid foundation
Mm.
when it comes to the company and the brand to know what's aligned and what's not. But we're always, always so receptive and grateful for feedback and requests, right? Because even though the brand is not a on trend brand, we're not a trendy company. It's classic jewelry with a twist that you can wear throughout your life, which kind of speaks to, our demographic. I
Mm.
designed for my 20-year-old sister and my 60-year-old mother, and it fills in the gaps, and I would be the gap. And so it really, there's something in this line for everyone. Um, but we really are so grateful to the feedback that we have from our customers, past, present, or future.
Yeah, you answered one of the questions I was going to ask because I was going to say, are you more trend driven from based on your styles and everything, and you just answered that perfectly. Which also leads me into we need to talk about one of your signature pieces. I think this is one of your signature pieces, the Gabriella,
Right
right?
here.
Yes.
Yes, it's right
Tell me
here.
that story. I want to hear
Yes.
that.
So it was actually a full circle moment. And I have the handbag right here.
Hmm.
So I purchased a handbag at Saks. Um, I want to say it was pre-pandemic. It was probably 2019, 2020. And it's this adorable little handbag and it has this gorgeous chain on it. And my thought was, oh, this is so great. And I went to go take the chain off because I wanted a longer strap, which I just got this longer strap on Amazon. But there wasn't a lock. There wasn't a way to take the chain
Oh,
off. And so I selfishly was like, well, I want a bag chain. I need a bag chain for this bag. So I got a prototype and I loved it. And I got it in a length that, we customized the chain and customized the hardware. And I got it in a length to where I thought, okay, if this is just a bag chain, that's one thing, but let's make it multifunctional. Myself and our customer were so dynamic. We wear so many hats throughout the day. How do we make this a piece that, this can be your one-stop shop for one piece, and then they can take it, on every journey with them. So we made it long enough to be a necklace, and it's also long enough to be a pant chain. If you have pants with belt loops, you can
yeah.
attach it to your belt loops. But it's kind of amazing because when you're a designer
Hmm.
and you put something out to the world, you really don't know what's going to hit or not. And you can do projections and you can, buy into certain products and you can get so excited about this piece and be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But the market will tell you what it wants. And I had no idea at the time that this was going to be our standout signature piece with our signature hardware. Like, this is what we're known for. So now that we're known for this, we are iterating on it and coming out with new pieces that
Hmm.
are in the same family, but still unique to the brand.
Yeah, oh, it's incredible. It's that's interesting to see what comes from, like you don't really know what's going to hit and what people are going to love. And I think a lot of the times it could be very surprising because you may think it's something so simple and then you're like, everyone loves this. That's one piece. The other pieces that you're wearing, I think some are more and they're all your pieces, I would assume. I know the bracelets too. I saw the beaded bracelets that you have on. I want to just talk a little. I feel like we need to talk about them because everybody wants to see all the pieces. What would you say is the next one in line with, that people are your customers are gravitate towards?
Yeah, maybe it's because I wear them all the time, but I would
Yeah.
definitely say that this is the Cyrus choker. It's a really beautiful geometric chain. This has been absolutely crushing it. We're currently sold out of silver right now. Every
Oh,
single
wow.
piece comes in gold and silver. Um, and we're sold out of silver right now, but maybe by the time this episode
Yeah.
airs, we'll have it back in stock. And this is our Regina choker. I
I
worked on
like
this
that.
chain. This is a custom chain. And I worked on this chain for 5 years, and we don't launch anything into the company, into the collection, unless it is perfect. Like,
Wow.
I am such a stickler for making sure, from the clasp to the hardware to the jump rings to the chains to, will it pinch your neck hairs? Will it
Yeah,
get
yeah.
tangled? Will it, we're so intentional about every single piece in the brand that and in the collection that once it comes out into the line, like, it's been through the ringer, and like that's how much we believe in the products that we have in the line.
Would you say that, or maybe you can and talk about some challenges as an entrepreneur and building a brand, um, from these pieces? Have you had ones that maybe you thought were going to be incredible and weren't, or what would be some challenge that you've faced over the last few years?
So I will say, to kind of backtrack on that, a lot of folks nowadays, there's this narrative of anyone can be an entrepreneur and everyone should turn their passion into their profession. And
Hmm.
I caution everyone to that. One, I say entrepreneurs and employees need each other. We all need each other. So if you are meant to be an employee, sometimes employees make far more money than
Yeah.
employers. So I just, take inventory of really what your gifts are. And then similarly, just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean that you need to turn it into a business. And
Hmm.
I say that to say my identity as a kid was so wrapped up in jewelry because I did it for me. It was my source of joy, right? So when I turn it into a company and then you subject yourself to opinions, to the marketplace, to people saying, I like this piece, but I don't like this piece, or I like this about your brand, but I don't like this about your brand. And you continue to iterate on the brand, and on the product. Sometimes it's harsh. Sometimes
Hmm.
it's hard to get over. Sometimes you take things personally. And that is me in my former realm. Now I'm like, great, you don't like it? Cool. Because
Right.
I know that there's so much more left in me. The more that I achieve and the more seasoned that I am in my entrepreneurial journey, the younger that I feel in it, because I'm just so excited about the next steps and
Hmm.
all the dreams that we have in the future, and all the achievements that we have yet to do. But it used to wreck me. But now I just take it as information. I take it
Hmm.
from an objective standpoint. And I encourage everyone to really take inventory of, if you're meant to turn your passion into a profession, amazing. I love that for you. I did it too, right? I also encourage people to have other hobbies, to have other things that bring them joy, and to also understand that in business, like, a thick skin is pretty
Hmm.
necessary. And the more people the more customers you have, the more people that you affect, the more folks that you meet, the more opinions you also subject yourself to. And sometimes the opinions don't mean it, and you definitely need to like brush them off. But also, there's some really great feedback that will come your way that maybe it doesn't align with your ego
Yeah.
or how you feel about something, but that's okay. That's another lesson in entrepreneurship that needs to be learned. So
Hmm.
I'm very grateful for all those moments, but I will say it, especially in my younger years, because I started off as an entrepreneur so young as I was developing, that was that was a hard lesson for me to learn at such a young age. But now I'm like, oh, you don't like it? Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
Great. You know?
Well, I mean, as hard as it was, it's like you kind of got that out of the way early
Yeah.
to deal with it and figure out the other things, which I want to talk a little bit about how you took the business, from all these years being in it, and then you created a big brand from it. How would you say you worked on really branding it and, marketing and promoting and all the different things? I mean, I know we have social media now, but what were your ways? What would you say what directions did you go in, or do you still move towards to really build your brand?
Well, my story is interesting because I didn't set out to buy or build a company, right? I just wanted to do this for me. So again, I was sitting on several decades, 2 decades really, of information of when I really wanted to launch it, when I really went all in and I launched it to market formally. I knew at that point, well, I don't really like a colorful wardrobe. I'm like a black, white, beige, and maybe a gray here and there kind of gal. I love metallics. We tried to do colorful jewelry a while back. And not to say that it might not evolve into that later, but
Yeah.
at this point in time, my intention is to say, okay, what are the basics? What are jewelry pieces that every single woman and man can have in their closet, put on, feel fabulous, wear throughout the entire day, go with all the different activities that we have, with all the different hats that we wear. It's a very highly stylized but practical brand. And the materials are so fantastic. The quality is insane. It's unmatched. And through the years, we've answered all the questions. Can you wear it in water? Yes. Is it non-tarnish? Yes. Does it come with a velvet pouch? Yes. Does it come in gold and silver? Yes. Like all of these things have just been an evolution of the brand. And again, to that I say, me working on myself and also taking inventory of, do I like this particular color? Do I like this font? Do I like how other brands use certain voices for their brand? What do I want my brand voice to be? All these different questions that I continuously ask myself, and I audit and I take inventory of every single thing that has helped the brand become what it is today.
Wow, that's so interesting that you really have been meticulous with all of the details of the brand. I mean, the creative side is always, I feel like, a very fun side of it, but then all those other little details play such a big role in building a brand and making it successful. Um, what are some, just to go back to the jewelry a little bit, some popular materials? I know you said gold and silver. Is that pretty much what you stick towards, and away from most of the color? And are there any other, I guess, hardware that you use?
Sure. So we do have accents of simulated diamonds and of
Hmm.
pearls. So I always, again, in Neutralville, I have my tennis bracelets on right here. They're amazing. They're kind of blinding right now.
Yeah.
But we only currently use stainless steel. So
Hmm.
all of our pieces are stainless steel based. It's the same product or the same material that surgical tools are made out of, the same product that boats are made out of. It's very water friendly. Being a California girl, growing up on an island, moving to Tampa, being close to the water, we needed to make it waterproof.
Yeah.
We needed to make the brand make sense for our environment. And so we chose to do stainless steel. And I've worked in every material under the sun, but again, over the years, getting asked certain questions, using a ton of materials, folks getting confused. Wait, I can wear this. No, I can't wear
Right.
this. Or I have sensitive skin. Is it hypoallergenic? Oh yeah, you can wear this piece, but you can't wear that piece. We needed to make the entire brand stainless steel. We needed to make it blanket statement. Hey guys, this is what we guarantee. This is our brand. This is the ethos. This is what we believe in. So that's what we did when I moved in 2021 from Los Angeles to Tampa. That really gave me an excuse to make a lot of these changes from a product standpoint. And we were talking about earlier, it's yes, all of the decisions have been meticulous in a sense, but they've also evolved out of being messy. Like, making mistakes and being messy will give you the answer. Like, hey, this was a shit show. Sorry for the French, but like, this
Oh,
was awful. This was crazy. now I have my answer. I do want to do that again. I don't want to do that again. This is where I want to put my energy. This is not where I want to put my energy. And then also sometimes you have to bite the bullet and go, this is really what my customer wants, even if it's not what I want to do, or this is not what I want. This is the market. This is
Yeah.
where, this is the white space. This is where the people are. These are the folks that are going to buy my jewelry. So it's
Beautiful.
just you're constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And I also encourage folks to give themselves permission to change their mind and to pivot. Say you change your mind, you're like, oh, I don't like red anymore, I really like blue. And then you're like, actually no, I don't really like blue anymore, I'm gonna go back to red. Like,
Yeah.
give yourself permission to experiment and make those decisions, because it will ultimately lead you to your truth.
That's such good advice for young designers that are coming up and trying to figure out their place in the industry. I think, and they're scared, to shift or to change or to get away from maybe a signature style. So I love that advice. This question's always a big question, but where do you see the brand going in the next few years?
That's such a great question. It has evolved and changed so much in the last 6 months. We had a
Mhm.
15-month pop-up in Tampa that did so well, and Hurricane Milton really was the catalyst to us changing the entire landscape of our company. And so we went to having over 15 employees to now having 4. Everyone's remote. Now we have a
Wow.
fulfillment center, so we're very digital now. Um, so I have thoughts on, different designs, different categories that I want to go into, but honestly, I could have never predicted the last 6 months. So for the
Mhm.
next 5 years, that seems like an eternity. I'm just here to do my best, show up for myself and my employees, make people feel amazing, and I'm just following God's instructions. So wherever
Yeah,
He wants me to be in 5 years is where I want to be,
that is
because
so,
I
so
never could have
great.
imagined that we
Yeah.
would have been here, in this amazing position in Tampa however many years ago, but I also couldn't have imagined the last 6 months and just
Yeah.
how challenging it was, but also all of the amazing things that came of it too. So I'm focused on tomorrow,
Yeah,
not 5 years.
I like that.
Yeah.
I have a fun question, and everyone always likes this one because I think it's interesting to hear the day in the life. Like it seems very glamorous, but what would you say like your day to day, morning to night type of day is like?
That's a great question. And I have tried my hardest over my career to come up with a routine. And I have a version of like a morning and an evening routine for myself
Right.
personally that continues to evolve and continues to change. Because again, when I'm asking myself questions and auditing my lifestyle, like, are these things serving me? I'm constantly experimenting with them. But every day is different. I will say that when we're in trade show mode and I'm at trade shows, that is it. It's just
Mhm.
focused on being at the trade shows, being on, showing up for everyone, allowing their experience with the brand to be amazing. That's where I'm at. Currently, I'm in the Tampa area on road, quote unquote. It's called going on road. And I'm physically on the road visiting retailers, talking with people about the brand, doing trainings to our retailers, etc. So that's, a routine in and of itself. And then when I'm at my place and I'm able to, be in front of a desk or an office, or I actually have a computer week, that's completely different too, because I'm catching up on emails, I'm doing pitches, I'm, loving on my
Yeah.
team, I'm taking meetings. So it's all ever evolving and it's
Yeah.
all different. But again, to your point, my life 6 months ago looks so different from what it is now. So I'm now creating my new reality and figuring out what's working for me now that we're a remote company.
Oh, that's such a great answer. I like that. It's always changing. Um, what's the best way for everyone to find you? Social media. I'm gonna have everything in the description for links and all that stuff, but what's the best place for everyone to find you and find your jewelry?
So myself, I'm at Marrin Costello on Instagram, marincostello.com. You'll find a link to my podcast. You'll find links to my consulting company, because I do now help one-on-one entrepreneurs help with their business. And I really help merge the branding and the business side. And I combine the two and effectively offer a service that I wish that I had when I was a young entrepreneur. So now I'm able to love on others in that way. And similarly, there's a link to the jewelry. And then separately, if you just want to go to the jewelry, which I respect that because it's such good stuff, you can go to Marrin Costello Jewelry on Instagram and then marincostellojewelry.com. So if you just type in my name, you'll find it.
Perfect. I love this conversation. It was so informative. I love getting a little deep into, what goes behind the scenes of entrepreneur's life. So I thank you so much, Marin, for all of this. It's been incredible, and I look forward to seeing more of your designs.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good rest of the day. Bye.